Alex here with a video on ChatGPT Revisited. Last time I did this video, it was in the context of legal questions. I was unimpressed by the artificial intelligence responses to some of the specific questions I asked it about Nevada. And here I'm about to actually, I'm not going to say I'm going to change my mind. What I'm going to say is with the topic of software, and probably, now that I think about it, other technical and scientific issues out there, I am impressed by ChatGPT's responses. I do find its ability to understand what I'm asking, and even more so, the solutions that it proposes to be very impressive. And I can see now why there are concerns about AI. Before I didn't see it. I knew that potentially it would be an issue, but now I can see certain issues that can arise from a very powerful AI, and not really thinking sort of the Skynet type of stuff from the Terminator movie so much as my concern is that it might cause a serious dumbing down of society because, well, I'll explain why. So, the way I'll explain why is through an example. I'm going to go ahead and ask it how. Let's say changing colors from one to another. So we're going to ask it how to change colors from one hexadecimal to another. Oh, let's say over the course of 1.5 seconds. Oh, gotta refresh. I guess it's like having issues. Should work now. All right, so this thing is going to go ahead and give me a response. And so what it's doing is it's putting it all into a single file and it's embedding the script into the file. So this is not something that I would do at work. This is not a good practice, but I will show you guys something remarkable as soon as it's done. Also, this is in pure JavaScript. So it just assumed JavaScript, which is, I guess that makes sense. Okay, so this thing has produced the code that I asked for. Not exactly what I would use at work, not a good standard, but it did answer the question and it probably would work. What I'm going to do is give it a follow-up question. So this is very impressive to me that we didn't have to give it the same sort of stylization of the original question. I was able to ask it a follow-up question and it understood the context. So now it's writing the code in TypeScript, which is much better, at least when you're talking about something that you would use in a professional environment. But there are still some issues that I have with this. There are still reasons as to why I would not use this for our Nevada judges. I would not use this at work. And that's because it's using these callbacks. What I would instead say is now I'm getting to the point where I'm blown away because it's actually using a third party library that's a professional library that's a standard for asynchronous tasks and implementation. Now it's starting to get professional. And it's just based on the follow up questions that I asked. So it understands observables, which are much more complicated than callbacks and promises. It's producing a solution that I would actually use at work at this point. Interestingly, right now, these are just code snippets. You can't really do anything with them. But if you're an engineer, you would know what to do with them. So a layperson may still struggle, which they should. But at this point, I'm impressed, seriously impressed. And it's to the point where this is actually helpful to me. It's to the point where something like this would actually be like an intern or a junior developer, where you could just say, "Hey, can you solve this?" And then they send you some code, and you're like, "No, you're not going to do it that way. We're going to use TypeScript." Okay, no, that's not good. Let's get Reactive X in there, and it's actually getting the job done. And the concern that I have is if a person doesn't have any technical understanding of computer science and engineering, and they really don't know when they get a solution that is either wrong or that is not optimal. And so when the artificial intelligence entity is an assistant and a helper, it's an amazing, wonderful thing. This thing would save me a tremendous amount of time. I would understand what it was doing, and I would be able to determine when the solutions that it proposes are suboptimal or are incorrect. So if you put this in the hands of somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, they won't understand these things. And instead of the artificial intelligence entity serving them and providing them assistance, the artificial intelligence entity would be leading them. The artificial intelligence entity would be in charge. And it would almost be to the point of not so much that the entity would be malevolent, so much as it would do people's thinking for them. And people would not learn how to think for themselves. And they make this out to be like a concern about people having their jobs replaced. To me, that's a very minor thing. I mean, conceivably, this could replace a junior dev. That's true. But really, my concern is a society where everybody just stops thinking because they don't have to, and they just do whatever the artificial intelligence entity says, not because it's sort of a choice so much as they wouldn't even realize, is there a chance that this is wrong, or is there a chance that this isn't the best solution? Like, this wouldn't even dawn on people because they wouldn't have the knowledge to know that that's even a concern or a question. It would look to them like this is the best possible solution. So that's the fear that I have with the use of artificial intelligence entities. This is an absolutely amazing tool for somebody who's already knowledgeable in a field. It will save them a tremendous amount of time. It will be the best possible service imaginable. In my opinion, this is like Google on steroids. I love it. And I am going to start using it because it is a competent assistant. But I do see why there are concerns. I do see why I guess there's a call for a pause, a 6-month pause on any artificial intelligence development. And I can see why this is out there. If I was a government entity, I would control who has access to this, because I would fear that human society, it would be an enormous crutch. It would be scary to see what the generation after does with it. It would sincerely worry me that it would be so easy to get this thing to do your thinking for you. It would be so easy to see an entire generation of people who just don't think. It would be so easy for me to see computers leading society. Very troubling. One more thing I could tell you guys is, it would be what this is to me is almost like a scientific calculator. If you put this in the hands of just a person on the street, they might understand how to use the basic parts of the scientific calculator, like 14 times 26 equals what? This is stuff that they would do with an ordinary calculator all the time. But in the hands of, a mathematician, they would be able to use the functions on that calculator that an ordinary person wouldn't even understand, the trigonometric functions, the calculus functions, stuff like that. Um, this really does make me stop and think. And I just have to say, for the first time ever, I can see the true potential of AI. Not just a movie, not just like a gimmick like Terminator and stuff like that, or The Matrix, but like, this is actually impacting my work. I've started using this for the past week or two, just because it's like an extra coder. It's an extra junior intern developer. I guess I could ask it one more time. Let's write code that scrapes the Nevada Supreme Court website unpublished orders page and gleans case number, caption, and link. Let's see if it can do it. It's going to use the Cheerio library to scrape the Nevada Supreme Court website unpublished orders page. Oh my God, look at that. It knows the URL. Look at that. Axios to execute the HTTP request. I have some doubts about these specific functions here. Orders, table tr, to array, slice one. This would probably work or get very close to working. I mean, guys, think about this. I just asked it a question just out of the blue for you guys for this thing to put together some code that scrapes the Supreme Court of Nevada's website, and it does. This is the link. It's missing two of the links, but it found one of them. Again, this is bad practice, but I could just tell it to do it in TypeScript with ReactiveX, and it would probably do it successfully. I'm not convinced that these links will work. It also doesn't handle errors. Let's ask it to add an error handler that sends an email. Let's see what it does. Updated version of the previous code that includes an error handler and sends an email to admin@ournevadajudges.com. So it catches the error, that's correct. Creates a transporter. Damn! Well, this is going to have to run in the backend. I don't think that a browser can fire off Node Mailer. Still impressive, though. Yeah, I mean, it would have to be on a server. The only other way would be to probably fire off a request from the front end to some kind of other service that somebody else provides with metadata that would then in turn fire off the email to our Nevada judges. So like, this is absolutely impressive. And you can tell a big part of this is knowing how to ask the right questions and knowing how to give it the right instructions. And then of course, this doesn't really help with deployment, but employed the Node Mailer library to send, okay, inside the catch block. So, I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. And if it can do this with software, it may be able to do this with medical procedures and stuff like that, which is also a concern. People get the wrong information and end up dead or injured, permanently disfigured. So, guys, really, this needs to be an assistant to and subservient to humans. Like, my mind is so blown and I am so impressed with this. And I haven't even used the competitor. I think that Google has its own competitor now. Wow. I've like I told you guys, I've been using this for a couple weeks now. Hugely helpful to me. There's a lot of mundane, nonsensical stuff that we have to do as software engineers that we don't really need to do it. And this does it for us. Truly an asset to any software engineer. And I'm one of the biggest critics of AI and tools like this, but wow. All right, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to post them down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.